Hey guys, welcome back. And today I thought I would talk about something that I know sometimes comes up this time of year where, at least for me, looking at storage, preparing for next season of wheeling, getting out on the trails, camping, those kinds of things. So organization is something that to me comes up, this time of year, and I know it does for some other guys. So with that, I thought that I would look at sharing some of the stuff that I've done, especially for the Nissan Frontier community, where sometimes the options for us is not the same as it is for the Jeep and Toyota crowd. So let me know in the comments below if there's anything that you use that you find helpful. Post below. So just doing a quick walk around, I wanted to start with the rear driver's side, and these are plastic Molle panels, and I have went to Lowe's and picked up some Allen head bolts, coarse thread, and added some spacers. You can see there I just purchased a length, you can get it actually at hobby stores or something, of aluminum, and cut it to fit your size. I think these are cut at about 1/2 inch, and I've got 4 bolts in each, and probably about 3/4 of an inch long, maybe an inch, I don't remember, probably closer to an inch, just so that they would make it through both the panel as well as the door panel, and then the 1/2 inch spacer here. These have been extremely solid with the coarse screws, and I've not had any issues whatsoever with these. You can see here there is some movement of the panel, but these have not come loose. I've never had to tighten these. I've run them for at least 2 years off-roading. This has never come close to breaking or falling off or doing any kind of damage to the door panel. I've had guys say that to me, but that has not been my experience. So unless you get like a really huge, I think, extinguisher, which this is a smaller one, then you might have some issues, but with this size, that's not the case at all. Moving to the front driver's door, this is just a single panel. Again, same coarse thread Allen head screws, same kind of spacers, same spacing. This is just the items that I feel like I'm going to need accessible to me on a regular basis. So knife, light, some radio stuff, extra antenna. This is a 6 inch for GMRS. With my feet in and leaned up against the door, there's no discomfort. Actually, my legs don't hit or anything like that, so this works out really well. I did consider maybe getting a larger Molle panel, but it didn't seem like it would sit right, and I didn't want to get it down too low where it was going to obstruct my use of the storage compartment here. Moving to the rear passenger side, this is for medical, this is for first aid, and each pouch has, of course, specific items in there. This does come a little bit lower on this side, but again, I am still very much able to use this for storage. Same mounting. You've got your horizontal version here, vertical here, and again, these have been solid. I do use the straps for holding my bags on, just for added security, just in case somebody coming in and out of the vehicle doesn't bump, hit, rip it off. I've got a clumsy 13-year-old, so I'm sure some of you might be able to relate to that. This was just added security. They unclip very quickly to access and remove if needed. So obviously this is first aid. This is an extension of first aid medical on this side. So that's solely what this door is designed for. And I added a tweeter, so that was also a part of its position here. So that way this is not obstructed. I get at least a little bit of use, or the rear passengers get a little bit of use anyway out of that. Certainly you're not going to hear that tweeter up front, but that's a different video talking about the stereo. One thing that I did like too, with this being pretty snug, pretty about the same distance with the lower part of the panel, that when shutting the door, pouch does rest against the seat, which is fine. It doesn't push, crush anything. So I felt like this was a really good spacing. I've got just enough items in there to where it's not overfilled, and I can shut it, and that way somebody can basically sit about flush with the door, if I've got 3 people back here, and it's not a problem. And I have had at least 2 adults and a smaller person back here. It's going to be uncomfortable, but not because of the pouches, not because of the Molle panels. And then here's the front passenger side. Similar setup. Again, I mirrored what's on the driver's side for the front and the rear. Single Molle panel, secured same way. Again, strap, except for this one. It just didn't make sense here. This hangs down a little bit low, but again, still plenty of access here to the lower panel. Strap here, and this is camping gear, extra straps, fire starter supplies kit, and that's going to be it for now. Here's the Molle panels for the center console. I've had these probably longer than the ones on the doors. These are actually steel instead of the plastics on the doors, and you can actually pull the seat up really far. It does not hurt or damage. The seat actually has plenty of room over here to slide up, doesn't hit, tear, scuff the edge of the seat. Garbage pouch tied here just for convenience. Then of course I've got my MXT 400. I've got just enough spacing here for papers or maps, or a slim iPhone that's not in a case, and I'll come back to that because I've done something a little bit different on the driver's side, but I'll come back to that in a second. So everything is really roomy up here. This does not interfere with any passengers. I've even sat on the passenger side as a big 330-pound guy, 6'2", and nothing over here protrudes into the leg room or anything for the passengers. And again, neither does the pouches. So you can certainly put your leg over and maybe rest it on this pouch. So there is the potential for that when driving, going down the road, but it's a position you'd have to place your leg into, not a normal sitting position. So none of these are intruding into the seating area, leg space, anything like that. Then for the driver's side, the setup looks pretty much the same. Again, and I used similar screws to the ones on the door, coarse thread. These are going to be a little bit longer because the spacing here is a little more. I believe this is roughly 3/4 of an inch or an inch, I don't remember, but I've utilized it for my CB radio. It has worn a little bit on the paint on the backside, but I don't care, it's not really visible, and it's more for the use rather than just looks. So this has been fantastic to keep my radio there. That way when I'm driving, I can just reach down with my right hand and adjust the squelch and volume. I can also easily hit the scan button or anything else I need to, but that's a different topic. Primarily what I use this for is for my iPhone, and it's in a case, so that makes it a lot thicker, and that's why on this side I did make the spacing greater so that my phone can fit in there very easily. And then of course I've got my cord here that runs to my stereo, my head unit, where I can access Onyx or Google or whatever else through CarPlay. So there is a little bit of a difference there in terms of spacing. I may space this one out a little bit more later. That's been my plan, but it's not been necessary. I've not had that use or need for that. So but definitely over here I have greatly benefited from that extra space. And again, when I'm sitting in the vehicle, there's no intrusion in leg room. My leg doesn't hit that or rest on it, so it's not been a problem. Again, just These spacers here, you can get these at Lowe's. These are a little bit different. These I did get at Lowe's. They're a little bit thicker spacers, run the screws through. With these other panels, I used aluminum from a hobby store, and I was able to cut it down to the number I needed. It was a lot cheaper than trying to get something at Lowe's that was already pre-sized. And you could do this for the front as well. If I'd thought about that from the beginning, that's what I would have done for those front panels. But here, when I started looking at the number that I needed, it just did not make sense to try and buy that many from Lowe's. And plus, Lowe's didn't have that many to begin with. But so cutting these down really saved a lot of money, made it very specific to my needs, and has worked out perfectly. So I hope you found that helpful. Any questions or comments, post below. I'd really be interested to see what kind of storage or Molle panels that you have in your vehicle. Do you have something similar? Do you have something you've bought specifically for your vehicle? If you're a Nissan person, specifically for the Nissan, let's talk about that and maybe help each other out to get some good ideas of what people have found to be beneficial. I'm going to post some links and stuff regarding options specifically for the Frontier, because I know there's not a lot for that platform, but there are a few companies that make some really nice stuff that like the console Molle panels that I just showed you. And there's some universal options I'm going to mention, because the plastic ones for the doors, I couldn't find those on eBay anymore. That's where I got those. Really well priced, but there are some on there now that maybe is the same company. Maybe they've changed the name, or somebody else is kind of taken that on and is making something for universal for vehicles. And I'll post that as well, just to give people options, because I don't believe that everything has to be outrageous. And I know making this stuff is costly and time consuming, especially when it's quality, and putting the coating on there and stuff like that, if anybody wants special kind of paint or powder coat and stuff like that. But for me, I didn't feel like I needed large metal panels for my door panels. And actually I didn't want anything that large. So really going this route, again, no complaints. Not a single one has cracked, broke, anything, even with the heavier fire extinguisher. I come back to that. These are really solid panels. And so, I still saved money even going and having to buy the hardware from Lowe's, and, cutting down the spacers. But, that was really quick, really easy. And it still saved me quite a bit of money, where I was able to do it where paying close to $100 a door, that's not feasible for a lot of people. It wasn't feasible for me. That was not something amount I was willing to spend to have storage in those locations. So you like what I did, then again, post below what your thoughts are, or maybe some other options that people can utilize other than what I've done. Maybe there's something just as affordable and maybe even better. So look forward to seeing what you all have done. Take care.